तमाम साथियों को या अली मदद. What a beautiful day. May Imam Zaman be with us and help us and gives us tawfiq, tahid, himmat wa yari to listen to understand and then follow the ilm of our tariqah and ilm of the Imam. We truly appreciate everyone online to not only come online every Sunday morning, but also asking during the class and sending the questions afterward. From our previous class last Sunday, we have received few of the questions which we will inshallah cover during this class, and inshallah if there are more questions after that, we will try to cover. All of you remember that we were talking about a farman of Imam Aka Sultan Muhammad Shah, may our soul be sacrificed to him, that he was talking about the ruh and how a mu'min during his lifetime should remove the soul from the body at least once in his lifetime and see. So I'd like to, with your permission, play the recording again from the last week where we had stopped. If you all remember, we were reading the Farman when Shanaz Appa came in and she gave us a wonderful, wonderful lecture on the Batin of Ismaili Tariqa. With the bottom of our heart, we truly appreciate her time and presence and ilm, and all of the scholars that helped us or helped us in the past and continue to help us today. Inshallah, we will try to bring more of the different scholars online who can give us more talimat on our tariqah. So let me play this recording from last week where we were talking about the Farman, and that was the subject of the class. So we can think and then we can try to achieve what Imam is giving us Farman about. I have Farman in front of me here. I'm going to read in Urdu and English both so everyone can keep up with it and understand. This Farman is from 1946, Mumbai. Imam Aka Sultan Muhammad Shah, may our soul be sacrificed to this Imam, says, हमारे मजहब का नाम बातिनी मजहब है. Name of our religion is Batin, esoteric religion. दुनिया के तमाम मज़ाहिब ज़ाहिर है जिसमें मरने के बाद बहश का तस्वुर है. All other religions in the world are physical, in which vision of heaven is only after death. All reward are after the death only. तमाम फायदे और इनामात मरने के बाद है. जबकि हमारा मजहब बातीनी है, जिसमें इस दुनिया में अपनी जिंदगी में ही बहश्त और फायदा देखा जा सकता है. But our religion is esoteric. Therefore, in this religion, in our religion, and in our lifetime, heavens can be, and all its benefits can be seen here. चूंकि रूह बदन में कैद है, इसलिए नहीं देख पाते. Because our soul is imprisoned in our body, we are not able to see. जब तक वो जिस्म के कैद खाने में है, उस वक्त तक ये मुश्किल है कि वो 1-2 घंटे जिस्म से बाहर निकलकर नजारा करे. Because it's in the body, it's a little bit hard that it would come out of the body for an hour or two and can see the other side, the batin. But if it dies for an hour or a minute, then that would be enough to view. And he said it with चुटकी बजाते हुए फरमाते हैं कि 1 मिनट के लिए अगर जिस्म से निकल जाए, then you can view the batin. Then you can view it. तो हमने यहाँ तक इस फरमान को पढ़ा था last week. This was a very amazing, enlightening farman in which Mola says that in our tariqah, compared to other tariqahs and other religion, the heaven is only seen or received, or its benefits are only achieved after the physical death. But in our tariqah, one can see the heaven, can achieve the heaven, can benefit from all of the nemat, all of the goods of the heaven in this world. Meaning, you do not have to die physically to see or benefit from the heaven. So, some of the questions that came from this farman and the lectures of the past 5 weeks, and these questions are amazing questions. Even though in the words, they are simple and 2-3 word question. And I love that part, that without saying too much, they have asked beautiful questions. The very first question was just 3 words, and that is, what is soul? Ruh kya hai? That's the question. Can you imagine someone asking this question? How far in the batin is this person thinking? Because our subject was and is the batin of our tariqah. And this person is asking the perfect question. Perfect question. Ke ruh kya hai? For us, in a simple way, we can understand, and then we will go into the deeper meaning and understanding of the soul. So simple answer would be कि हमारे जिस्म का बातीन रूह है और रूह का जाहिर जिस्म है. The batin of our jism, our physical body, is soul, and the zahir of our soul is our physical body. ये एक सिंपल आंसर है, लेकिन let's come to some more deeper understanding of the soul. First thing different between the soul and body is the soul is permanent and body is temporary. और आगे चलते हैं हम कि soul जो है, the soul is omnipresent, compared to body is a temporary, it comes and goes. रूह एक माजिज़ाना, रूह is miraculous, रूह एक माजिज़ाना चीज है. रूह or the soul does not die, is a permanent thing, a miraculous permanent thing. Now, when we say the soul, as I said, we need to understand even further about the soul. When we say a soul, we think of just one soul in our body. Even though that is correct, but not on all levels. In one hand, yes, we can say we have a one single soul in our body. But in other hand, we need to understand, we need to drill down और उसका तजिया करने की ज़रूरत है, उसको समझने की ज़रूरत है, उसको डिफाइन करने की ज़रूरत है. Our soul has 5 levels. If we say our soul is one, then we can say it has 5 levels. Or we can say we could have possibly 4 kind of soul, and we are thriving for the 5th one. So we have 4 kind of soul within us, within this one soul that we call Meri Ruh, my soul. So let me give you the names of them, those souls, and then I will explain each one of those souls in these steps. याद रखें कि हम बातीन को समझने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. And we cannot understand the batin without understanding our batin, which is our soul. That's why I said this question was a perfect question to talk and discuss about. So, as I mentioned, a human soul have 4 steps, or human has 4 kind of souls. Number 1, पहले उर्दू में और फिर इंग्लिश में. रूहे जमादाती, रूहे नबादाती, रूहे हैवानी और रूहे इंसानी या रूहे नातिका, दोनों नाम से उसको पुकारा जाता है. In English, the mineral soul, the vegetation soul, the animal soul, and the human soul or the rational soul, they are both mentioned on different level. And there is additional soul which we will talk about after we understand this 4 kind of soul. The very first soul, mineral soul, the रूहे जमादाती, आसान लैंग्वेज में उसको मट्टी की रूह कहते हैं, पत्थर की रूह कहते हैं, जमी हुई सॉलिड फ्रोजन सोल कहते हैं. How does that work in the human body? or when does this soul comes in human body? Sometime when we say that a child is born and we look at him and we think, this is only that we think, that is not true. It is a little bit further than the truth. जब हम कहते हैं कि बच्चा पैदा हुआ तो हम ये समझते हैं कि वो पैदा हो गया और उसके अंदर एक मुकम्मल रूह है. Because he has born, he has a complete soul. No, he has one of the rank or one of the soul so far. And that is the mineral soul. रूह जमादाती उसके अंदर होती है. If you take that child and wrap him in a cloth, उसको बांध कर एक कॉर्नर में सुला दें, तो he just stays there like a rock. That's it. Because he only has one single soul initially. Potentially, he has 4 other souls. But initially, he has only one soul. And that is the mineral soul. But as mother feeds him, gives him the milk, and when he receives the second soul, the vegetation soul, which helps him grow like a tree, like a vegetation. Because the initial soul only makes our body a solid form of our body, compared to the second soul gives us the growth. That's why I said it was potentially within that human baby, but actually, or when does it actualize? When mother starts to feed the baby. Then the second soul enters, or second soul which was potentially there becomes actual. आप समझ रहे हैं उर्दू के अंदर कि पहले सिर्फ मिनरल सोल थी, इसके बाद वेजिटेशन सोल आई, रूह नबादाती आई, ताकि वो ग्रो हो सके, ताकि वो बड़ा हो सके, उसका जिस्म नशो नुमा पा सके. And then comes the third soul, the animal soul, Ruhe Hewani. Now this is kind of confusing or questionable. Why does human need an animal soul? Because animal soul gives us the instinct जो हमें हमारी जिंदगी में बहुत काम आती है. What does animal have? He has instinct. He knows when the danger is and run away. He knows what is good and he stays. उसकी जो ये कुव्वत है, this strength comes from that soul which we call animal soul. And human needs that to safeguard himself, to protect himself. He needs that. But that's not the end of it. And when does child get that? And how do we know the child has received that soul, or the potential soul within him has become actual soul? When he is about few weeks old, and when you clap, or when you make loud sound, all of a sudden he is scared and starts to cry. Then and there you would know that he has received this third soul, or he has actualized that potential soul within his soul, and is called the animal soul. the final soul, the human soul, sometimes it takes a while for a baby to actualize the human soul or rational soul, because there are two names of it, Ruhe Insani or Ruhe Natika, bolne wali soul. So we see a baby when he is born, he does not have the power or the actualization of the tongue, the speaking power, or to rationalize things. उसको rationalize करने के लिए अभी तो उसमें ताकत नहीं है. And sometimes this comes, the Ruhe Natika, when baby is 14, 18, 20 months old. And rationalize करने का जो power है, that soul sometimes doesn't even come when the person is 10, 12, 14, 16, 18-year-old. Or we can say that he may have a rational soul when he's 10-year-old, but it does not perfect that power, or it does not perfect that soul of the rationality until later on, until he is even older than 14, 16, 18-year-old. Sometimes it takes, quarter of a century or even more. And that grows and grows and grows. As we get older, that soul becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. Potentially, we always had it, but actualization becomes later on. Or is 100% potential is not there, but it increases with the time, with the knowledge, with the wisdom, with the culture, and the environment that we live in. So that soul grows into human. Now, we see some human are not actually human. What does it mean? They act more like janwar, like animals, than human. Why is that? Why some human act like animal compared to others? And why some human act more like human compared to others? So we can say that some human has their animal soul more powerful than human rational soul. If your animal soul is more powerful than your human soul, then you will see in that person, in that human, that his action are more of the animal actions and less of the human actions. That reminds me of a farman of Aka Sultan Muhammad Shah, may our soul be sacrificed to their Imam. He says, what is the difference between you and the animal? आप में और एक जानवर में क्या फर्क है? They are born, you are born. They eat, you eat. They make babies, you make babies. And they grow old, you grow old, and they die and you die. What is the difference between you and the animal? Then Imam explained, it is the intellect. It is your akal. It is your rational soul. It is your human soul which make you different than an animal. आपने देखा कि एक अक्ल जो है वो इंसान को जानवर से अलग करती है, वरना हम में और जानवर में क्या फर्क है? So I'm going to go back to all of these four souls within the human soul, or all of the four actions and the attribution of the human soul quickly, so we can understand and we can move forward. The mineral soul stays in us always. That is the one that keeps us solid. The vegetation soul stays with us for a while in a higher manner than the later on. For example, we grow and we grow to a limit and then it stops, meaning our vegetation or vegetative soul now has the power and potential and it stays with us, but not in the manner, in the full power that it was when we were as a child or when we were growing up. But it stays with us. And how do we know it stays with us? Because we still have a few things that grows in us. For example, our nails, our hair continues to grow, and that growth is due to our mineral soul and due to our vegetative soul. Both of those souls work in growing those two things for the rest of our life. Okay, the third soul, animal soul. Animal soul is there to protect us, but we should not हम उसको पूरा पावर नहीं दे सकते हैं. We should not give all our free will and power to the animal soul. Otherwise, we may look like human, but our action will define us as animal. The human soul and rational soul, and Ruhe Natika, the speaking soul. The human soul we should pay attention to, we should give more power to, and that power comes with knowledge, with environment, with understanding from the intellect. The more we learn, the more we understand, and more we are in the environment where people are acting like human or people are following their rational soul, the more we will copy because we are product of the environment. It's called grafting. So a human continue to graft himself from the other human. इसलिए मौला ने फरमाया कि हमेशा मोमिन की दोस्ती करो. Imam says, always have a good friends, momin friends. So you can graft yourself. You can mold yourself as they are. If they are good, you will become good. But if you stay with the bad people in a bad environment and receive the ill knowledge, ill concepts, then it will graft in you and you will become ill. Your soul will become ill, your thoughts will become ill, because that's what you choose to do. You stay in the environment which was not good for your soul. And because our soul is continue to graft, continue to adapt, वो आस्ते आस्ते हमारी रूह को खराब कर देता है. There's an old फरमान of Imam Aka Sultan Muhammad Shah, may our soul be sacrificed to him. It says, एक आनियन जो है वो खराब होगी तो तमाम आनियन को खराब कर देंगी. If onion is rotten, then it will rotten the rest of the onion. अगर कोई शख्स बुरा है, आप उसके साथ रहेंगे तो आप बुरे हो जाएंगे. But there is a positive side of this फरमान, that if you stay with the good, logical, ilmi, intellectual people, then you can also learn from them and you can become a good human. So I think this is good enough for here. I have mentioned there is a fifth soul. There's one additional soul which we are looking for, thriving for, and working toward. एक और रूह बाकी है. Potentially it is in us, but we have not actualized it. So today we can say we have actualized 4 of our souls, and that makes us a human, a good, complete human. But we are not complete yet without the 5th soul, और उसका नाम है रूह आला, इमाम की रूह, रूल कुदूस, होली स्पिरिट. हमारे अंदर एक रूह की अभी भी कमी है. We are lacking one potential within us, and that is the higher soul, the Ruh Imam or Ruh Allah or Ruh Qudus, or in English, Holy Spirit. तो जब हम इबादत बंदगी करते हैं और जब हम इमाम की रूह को और इमाम के नूर को चाहते हैं, so when we are seeking the nur of the Imam, actually what we are seeking to become one, and we wanted to graft our soul to be like Imam's soul. Potentially is already in us. We are trying to graft and we are trying to actualize that soul within us, the soul of the Imam. ये है हमारे मजहब का बातीन. This is the batin of our Imam. That we don't talk about physical body, but we can talk, we can learn, we can understand the soul. And it is possible where Imam is. With Imam's knowledge, with Imam's farman, it is possible to understand the soul. So that answers your question, what is soul? Now the second question is, where does soul come from? I'm telling you that you guys are sending questions that is outside this world. This is amazing. This is amazing. And thank you for doing that. Where does soul come from? First, we will refer to Quran. And then we will refer to some other references. And then we will try to understand where soul comes from. And inshallah, we will open and reveal some of the secrets today. Inshallah. So pay attention. Quran says, when someone asks Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi, where is soul come from? And this ayat comes, says, the soul is from the amr of your Rabb. रूह खुदा के अमर से है, उसके खजाने से है. So soul is from Allah. That's what Quran says. The soul is from Quran. It's from the Amr of the Quran. Amr of Allah. Then our Sufis and Rumi says, but our soul doesn't even come. It's just a shadow. The soul actually never comes on earth. It's just a shadow. So do we see two different understanding? Soul is from the Amr of Allah, and soul doesn't even come, it's just a shadow. And we will understand all of this in a minute, inshallah. We will put all this 2 and 2 together, and we will see how. To answer this and to understand this, we must understand the concept of the soul. Soul का जो concept है, वो समझना ज़रूरी है. So we can understand both of this statement from the Quran and from the Sufis. So let's understand the soul on 2 different levels. And that is a lower soul and a higher soul. So we're going to split the understanding of the soul in two steps, on the lower soul and the higher soul. Example of that is a piece of wood, a stick. On the bottom of that stick is the lower soul, and the top of the stick is the higher soul. So what am I saying? What I'm saying, that from the bottom of the stick, we are on this earth, in this body. On the top of this stick, we are in the Amre Allah, in the Imam, in the treasure of Allah. Now, if you look at the stick, one side is on top and one side is on the bottom. Two different, absolute different corners, which does not come together. एक ऊपर है, एक नीचे है. One is on top, one is on the bottom. But at the same time, they are both connected. They are both connected. The top portion and the bottom portion is connected by that piece of wood, by that stick. This is one of the example. Let's go further and let's see if we can understand this. When we are talking about the lower soul, the example of the lower soul is the example of the cloud and the rain. Cloud and the rain. In all the tariqas and all the religion, the concept of the soul is an example of the cloud and the rain. So when rain comes down from the cloud, there is a total disconnection. Cloud on the sky and the rain on the earth. बादल आसमान पर और बारिश का पानी जमीन पर. Total disconnection. That is the understanding of the lower soul in other religion and other tariqas and other understanding. But that is not the understanding of our tariqa. That is not. So how do we understand our tariqa? The example of the soul in our tariqa, as I mentioned, a piece of wood, is of the sun and sun ray. Sun ray comes to the earth without disconnection, without disconnecting from the sun. Do we see? Our soul is always connected to his asal, to his origin, to the Imam, to the Amre Allah, Amre Bari Ta'ala. The sun and sun ray. So our origin stays within the origin, and the bottom portion of it comes to the earth for a while, temporarily. Just as we see every evening when sun going down or moving into the other side of the earth, then all the sun rays goes back to its origin within the sun, and we say the sunlight or the sun ray is no longer on this earth, wherever we are standing. Not that it completely ever goes away, but wherever we are standing, we can say that कि वो सूरज की रोशनी चले गई. Where we are standing, when a person dies, we say कि वो रूह चले गई. कहाँ चले गई? It went back to its origin. और हम कहते हैं कि soul came from Allah and will return back into Allah. और इस्माइली कैन से हमारी रूह इमाम से है और इमाम में लौट जाती है. without ever being disconnected. And last example I'll give of a watch, not the modern watch that we wear today, digital watch, but if you have the old style watch or a clock in your home, look at that clock. Look at the center of those three hands: the second hand, the minute hand, and the hour hand. What do you see in the center? Center always stays in the same place, never moves. Center, the origin of those hands, stays at the same place, never moves. But the second, the minute, and the hour hands keep moving on that dial. This is the example of our soul. Sometimes we are here for a second, sometimes we are here for a little bit longer, like a minute, and sometimes we are here for even longer than that, like an hour. But our origin stays in its origin at the center. वो मरकज के ऊपर रहता है, वो अल्लाह के अमर के अंदर है, इमाम की रूह के अंदर है. And I don't think I can give even better example than this, because it is easy for us to see and understand. So we talked about this lower soul and the higher soul. And then we come to our final and last question. And this question has been asked few times actually during our classes on Sunday. Can we see the soul? What a beautiful question. Can we see the soul? So first of all, the Farman that we read at the beginning of this class, where Imam says that you should take your soul out and you should see the soul. And there is another Farman of even older Farman of Sultan Muhammad Shah, may our soul be sacrificed to that Imam, back in 1899, where he invites us and challenges us that as a moment we should take our soul out of our body for a minute or for an hour, so you can see your soul. And then Imam continues in that Farman, a quote from Mullah Ali: whoever recognizes his soul recognizes Allah. And that is the part where I said earlier that I'm going to reveal a secret to the listener today. And this is not my secret. Imam has given this secret to us over 120 years ago. We are just understanding it today. Where Imam asks us, challenges our intellect by saying that when you have a minute or an hour, sit and think, where have you come from? An intellectual person will say that he has come from Adam. What does this mean? Why Imam is drawing our attention all the way back to Adam, which was close to 7,000 years ago? How can we see when we cannot even see more than 50, 60, 100 years back? How can we see where Adam come from, who he was, who sent him? Does that mean that Imam is giving us a farman to follow, which is not even possible? इमाम हमको कोई ऐसी बात कहता है जो मुमकिन नहीं है? No, Imam is not tricking us. No. Imam is inviting us to think about this. And here comes the secret. What Imam is saying, because if you look at this Farman closely, Imam is talking about the ruh, the soul. And in the middle he's talking about this. कि आदम कौन था, कहाँ से आया, किसने भेजा? आदम The Imam, when he says Adam, he's not talking about the physical body of the Adam. Imam is talking about the soul which was in the Adam. Think where the soul of the Adam came from. Who put this soul in Adam? And what is your relationship with the Adam? The soul in you is the same soul which was blown into Adam, and there is the soul of Allah. So what Imam is saying, think where your soul came from. Who created you? Where have you come from? Your soul has come from Allah. He has breathed the soul into you. And if you recognize your soul, you will recognize Allah. Now tell me, this call of Mullah Ali, whoever recognizes soul will recognize Allah. Whoever recognizes soul more will recognize the soul of Allah more. How can we recognize Allah? By looking at our soul or recognizing our soul. Because it is the soul of Allah which was breathing into us. Someone can say, when did Allah breathe our soul into us? जब हम पैदा हुए, जब आदम पैदा हुआ, जिस तरह से आदम पैदा हुआ तो खुदा ने रूपों की, और जिस तरह से हम पैदा हुए तो खुदा ने रूपों की. One can again argue, but how can we compare ourselves to Adam? How can we say Allah has breathed His soul into us like He has breathed soul into Adam? Well, Allah says that His habit never changes. Fitratullah, Surah 30, Ayat 30. Never ever changes. The way He created Adam, He created all the humans. The way He created Adam and blow His nur into him, that's how He blow His soul into us. That is the habit of Allah. And this is the farman of the Imam. Look at how wisdomful this farman is. That Imam is talking about the soul and Imam is talking about Adam. He's drawing our attention to Adam. And in his farman, he's quoting Mullah Ali's call. कि जिस तरह से मौला अली मुर्तज़ा ने फरमाया कि जिसने अपनी रूह को पहचाना उसने खुदा को पहचाना. He's quoting Mullah Ali that whoever recognizes soul recognizes Allah. So it is possible, 100% definitely it is possible for a mu'min to take his soul out of his body, still living in this world. It does not have to die, to see his soul, to recognize his soul, and to recognize Allah. Definitely. So let me stop here. I think today's lecture probably is one of the most powerful lecture out of this series of Ismaili Tariqa, the Bati Tariqa. And I will stop here so we can open the floor for the comments and questions. Bismillah.